Hello, hello. It is Carmen here with Mako, and today we are going to review another glaze profile for our stoneware glaze, Amber Quartz. Amber Quartz is a soft matte glaze that is this warm amber brown color. It breaks really well over texture and can actually pool and showcase a beautiful glossy variation when it's applied very thick or in combination. So here we've got our label showcasing the Cone 6 results on a white stoneware body. We do recommend a firing range from Cone 5 up to Cone 10 with a reasonable consideration for variation in those results, which we will review today. On the side here, we've got our ACMI seal, our dinnerware safe logo here, as well as the lot number for this particular batch. So you'll want to report that to technical if you do need to contact them. If you have an older label or are unsure if this is the most up-to-date dinnerware safe information, we do recommend checking out our website. We showcase color pages for each individual color, and all of the most up-to-date information for any individual color can be found there. And then here we've got our Cone 6 and Cone 10 results, as well as basic application instructions, as well as tips. So please check out our label for more information, as well as our website. We try to put everything, make sure everything's available there for you to investigate for yourself. So first, I'm going to showcase the general application instructions. Using Amber Quartz, I like to just review this to kind of showcase best practices when applying our stoneware glazes. So here I've got a number 4 fan brush. Gonna make sure to dip that really well in the glaze. I almost just like to stir the glaze with the brush, and then that's how I know it's loaded up really well. So I'll glaze this tile just like I have these tiles here, with 1, 2, 3 on the front and then 3 full coats on the back. The main thing we're looking for here is making sure that your glaze brush is not dragging, and that's so it's not dragging with a full pull, not necessarily these small pulls like this. So if you're pulling it across and it's catching on that bisque, then you might want to load up your brush a little bit heavier. So here we've got our first coat. It's drying, but not quite instantaneously. So that's how we know we have a nice thick coat applied there. All right, so our firing results here, we've got Cone 6 results. So here you can see more of that amber color, and as it gets thicker, you build up a lighter kind of beige, sandy beige color with thicker application. This glaze breaks wonderfully over texture. It showcases it really well with all those variation with browns in this product. We've got a nice soft matte finish. And then on the back here, we've just got 3 coats on a flat surface. You can kind of see the variation with the application here, but in general, there's just a little bit of speckling throughout the glaze with this nice kind of beige color with these warm amber undertones. Here we've got it fired to Cone 5. So 1, 2, and 3 coats. We're still building up this lighter color that happens. But it's not quite as bright, or there's not quite as much contrast as there was with the darker color. This is a little bit dry at Cone 5 with the thinner application. When you build it up to be a little bit thicker, it is a bit smoother. And so this is one of the glazes that is in our breaking matte category, and all of these glazes seem to showcase a glossy finish at Cone 5, and then when you fire them to Cone 6, they have a matte finish. So I thought this was kind of a funny thing that happens with these glazes. If you're curious what other glazes are in our breaking matte performance grouping, check out our comprehensive stoneware guide on our website. It's a really, really useful guide to have when you're trying to learn about our different glazes. So we've got cone 5, cone 6, white stoneware body, and typically we recommend to do a cone 6 with our matte glazes because they'll produce a softer finish. This one with our fired results was glossy at cone 5, but if you do fire to cone 5 and notice that your finish is a bit dry, it could either be because your application is thin, it's reacting with your clay body, or perhaps it would perform better at a cone 6 or even a cone 6 with, a cone 5 with a 10-minute hold, just to increase that heat work a little bit. So here we've got our second coat. The first coat is nice and dry here. Go ahead and brush this on. And then our second coat on the back. You notice I'm not super tidy with these brush strokes with our stoneware glazes, or for most of our stoneware glazes, having kind of that variation with your brush strokes and your application thickness can produce some nice variation with your finish. Kind of how this has a little bit of variation here. It's because it wasn't applied super uniformly. All right, so then we'll do our cone 10 results. So at cone 10, this is a cone 10 reduction. This glaze darkens and you get this nice, rich, kind of burnt orange color showcasing itself here. It still breaks great over texture, have a nice matte finish. Oops, that's the wrong one. But you can see here, this does get a lot darker with that cone 10 reduction. So here we have our results with flux, and this is super cool. This interacts with the flux really, really well. All of these breaking matte glazes produce a lot of interaction when you're layering them, and because they are in a category of breaking, they kind of encourage mobility when they're layered with other glazes. So on their own, they're generally pretty stable. 3 nice thick coats aren't going to produce any mobility, but when you start layering it with other glazes or enhancers such as flux, that's when you're going to actually get that mobility. So here we applied the flux underneath the Amber Quartz, and you can see the Amber Quartz really interacted with these. We have a decent amount of mobility that's happening, and it looks pretty cool. And you can see some of that. So this glaze tends to add, it can add some like purple or blue variation when you're applying it really, really heavy, which you can kind of see coming out here. And fun fact, Amber Quartz is the base glaze in Desert Dusk. So when I'm talking about those blues and purples that showcase themselves, if anyone's seen Desert Dusk samples with those blue and purple glossy variation, that's what I'm talking about there. So here we have our flux applied over top of the Amber Quartz. So a little bit less interaction, but still a nice gradient and a decent amount of mobility happening there too. And even some cool buildup of microcrystals on the surface, which is really nice. Then we'll go to our cone 10 results. So the interaction seems to be pretty similar here with the light and dark flux, and it doesn't even produce much more mobility. The primary difference is just going to be with that kind of glaze coming through. The glaze itself is more of a burnt orange than like this amber beige color that we see at the lower temperature. Alrighty, and then next we'll showcase the results on different clay bodies. All of these were fired to cone 6 with a 10-minute hold to alleviate any outgassing that occurs when you're firing on different clay bodies. So here we've got it on a white speckled clay. So the surface looks really nice. You get a little bit of that glossy variation here with some kind of purple haze happening. It breaks really, really well over texture, but the most important thing is that we don't see any surface issues here. We're not getting blistering or pitting or anything, and that's really what we're looking for, at least when we're doing our tests on different clay bodies, just to kind of give you some information. But as always, we definitely recommend to test yourself. This is just giving you a performance spectrum for this product, and there is always going to be variation when people bring that into their own personal practice. So here we have it on a brown speckled clay. The speckles come through really, really well. The surface is nice and smooth, and we're still getting some of that kind of glossy hazing that happens with thicker applications. So this looks really great on the speckled brown. And then here we have it on a dark brown clay. So this one here, we have a little bit drier of a surface. I wouldn't say that this is surface issues necessarily. We don't have blistering or anything like that, but it is a bit dry. So this might be something that you want to use on the outside of something else, or if you're layering it with a glossier glaze in combination, that could work okay. But on its own, this isn't really a surface that I would want to be eating off of just because it's a little bit dry. All right, we'll get our final coat on our tile here. So this, when we fire it to cone 6, it'll look just like this. So this third coat will go on nice and easy. We're just doing the one swipe here, so I'm not going to load my brush too much. And then here, we'll apply glaze to the back. All right, oops, got a little bit of drip action there. There we go. We've got 3 coats on the front and the back. And finally, let's check this glaze out in combination. So like I had said previously, this glaze can add mobility into combinations, just like all of our breaking glazes. They can be encouraged to move, although they're generally going to be stable on their own. So here we have Norris Blue applied over Amber Quartz. So this is a very, very nice smooth finish. It feels so good in my hands. You can see the mobility that happens here. So Norris Blue is another glaze that is generally stable but can be encouraged to move in combinations. And it seems like all these cups that I glazed, I really slapped that glaze on there. So I had 2 nice heavy coats of the Amber Quartz and then 2 coats of the Norris Blue ending at the texture, and it pulled all the way down to here. So this, I would say, is probably closer to 3 and 3 coats results, depending. I'm pretty heavy-handed from just glazing all the time. And I feel like the results do look really nice when you apply the glaze really heavy, honestly. You just have to keep an eye out for that mobility. So here we have Winterwood applied over Amber Quartz. So it's funny because both of these have a matte finish, but together they created a glossy finish. I thought that was kind of interesting. This just barely saved itself with this rim here. But luckily we have that rim, because otherwise I would have had to put some work in on a kiln shelf. These has a lot of mobility. Got this nice micro crystals. This is a really beautiful, beautiful combination here. So again, Winterwood over Amber Quartz. And then finally I have Smoke over Amber Quartz. So here we've got some nice kind of like sage green matte finish that happened here. We did get, again, a decent amount of mobility, and I love this kind of speckling that happens as that glaze is pulling down on your combo cup here. So if you like these, definitely check them out on our website. We have a full glaze combo gallery with the pairs of these at Cone 10 reduction. We also have a full spectrum of low fire combinations in there too. It's totally searchable, so check it out. Search what glazes you carry, and then hopefully you can find some inspiration there. Other than that, that is all that I have for you guys today. So please leave questions and concerns in the comments so that we can be in communication. with you guys, and as always, make it Mako.